I managed to find a book called Franklin Goes to Hospital, and it's about a turtle that breaks his shell. So it talks more about being put to sleep, having an anaesthetic, blood pressure, x-rays, and not knowing what's happened to you because you're asleep while it happens. And it was really quite a useful book. So we read that a few times to Alex, and we explained exactly what was going to happen to him. He refers to his rod as a stick. He's got a stick in his back that makes him straight. Of course, for them two, for Alex, it's great because at the moment he's taller than Sam. So it's the competitiveness, and we're honest with him about what was going to happen, and that it might hurt and he might be sore, but to just kind of not play on that too much and give him the opportunity to ask questions. For Sam, it's good because he's seen such a positive outcome for Alex, a quick recovery, the fact that he is so much taller and straighter and so much better in himself that Sam doesn't need to ask Alex any questions. He just needs to look at him to see the improvement. I'd spoken to another mum directly about it, whose boy had been through it, and she said two things that were totally true. Nothing that she said could prepare me for what it was going to feel like to see your child after it had happened, and it was the worst day of her life. And it was horrible. But you have to keep reminding yourself that as a parent, you're watching your child go through it. You're not actually physically going through it yourself. You're not feeling the pain, the physical pain. But it was horrible. It was heartbreaking. You know that there's going to be tubes everywhere, but you're just not prepared for it. And his little face was all swollen. He'd got a tube in his throat. He'd got a central line in his neck. Two drains coming from the wound. He'd got a huge dressing covering the whole of his back. He'd got a cannula in each hand, drugs going in and everything, and it was just awful to see him looking like that, but just glad then that it was all over and it was done with and it had gone well. And seeing the before and after x-rays and talking to the surgeon, they were really pleased with how it had gone, even with the blood loss. Saturday afternoon, 48 hours after surgery, he was on no pain relief. They took the central line out. They left the cannula in his hand just in case. They took the drains out of his wound. He was breathing on his own. He was back on a normal orthopaedic ward, which you kind of think, well, we were expecting, 3 days on intensive care and another 3 days in high dependency. And then on the Monday, the OT came and she wanted him out of bed and into his chair. They want him comfortable in his chair before they would let him come home. He didn't want to do that. And I was kind of I don't want to lift him, because I hadn't lifted him up until that point. They showed me how to handle him, how to move him. We put him in his chair. He whinged and he moaned, not because he was in any pain, but because he'd got a little TV screen by his bed and he could watch CBeebies all day. That's what he wanted to do. He just wanted to lie in bed. Got him out into his chair. She adjusted the chair to suit his new height. And then she just kind of said to me, walk off. And he cried because I'd walked off, and it was horrible to do. But then he followed me because he knew he could either sit there with a complete stranger or he could operate his chair. And he followed me. And then once he'd been in his chair and he was confident, then that was it. There was no stopping him. What you have to bear in mind is that this is going to give your child a much better quality of life. The comparison between my two at the moment is unbelievable. Obviously, not just the physical impact that you see. Alex he's 3 inches taller than Sam at the moment. But when you compare them, Sam's like a little old hunchback gentleman. Everything's squashed. His lungs are squashed. His tummy's squashed. Even down to his digestion is much worse than Alex's, because everything gets sort of stuck. Alex wakes up in the morning and is immediately alert, whereas Sam's a bit more sluggish because his lungs are squashed. It's an experience that nobody wants to go through. We're going through it twice, which isn't nice, but it's going to give a much better quality of life. And the rod that Alex has is a telescopic rod, so that means it'll grow with him. So hopefully the need for surgery in the future won't be there, because the rod will grow with him and he'll be tall.